Hello everybody, this is Nuoance, and we're back again with another nightmare video. The previous one didn't go super well, but it did have good feedback in the comments, and I really love being able to use my channel as a medium for all the gunk in my brain and all the weird dreams I've had. So, we're gonna do another one. This one just happened a couple days ago, and it's been stuck in my mind ever since, so I decided this week we'll talk about it. On top of that, we finally hit 2K subs! It actually went way quicker than I thought. It feels like every single video we're hitting a new milestone, and I just want to thank all of you once again. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate each and every one of you, and it means the world to me, honestly. With that, though, let's get into today's video. Now, if you're a part of my Discord or have seen a few of my recent streams, you probably would see that I've gotten on the Pokemon kick again. Specifically Pixelmon, it's a Minecraft mod where you can catch and train Pokemon with your friends. I absolutely adore this, since all I've ever wanted to do is to be a Pokemon trainer with my friends. The game brings me joy that I can travel with the people that I care about to see their personalities show through their Pokemon teams. That is what I think inspired the start of this particular dream. The dream starts out with me in some kind of festival, where the streets have been sectioned off for a parade of some kind. Everyone is having fun, there are Pokemon everywhere, and even though the roads have been closed off, crowds still linger in the streets to dance to the music that played around them. Overall, just the perfect scene for my perfect world. I look over, and I see a wild, shiny Alolan Geodude hovering around the fray. Now, personally, I'm not super fond of Geodudes, but I am fond of shiny Pokemon. So I throw out one of my Pokemon, it's my Blaziken named Bossy, to challenge it. I miss the first few times to initiate the battle, but eventually make a connection and catch the little guy. Though, while I'm in my post-catching jitters, a younger girl walks up to me, seeming really disappointed. She wanted to catch the Geodude, she says, and somehow I didn't see her attempting to catch it, so I apologize to her and tell her that we can have a mock battle if she wants. The girl accepted, and we were off to the battle arena that was located later in town. We didn't get far, though, when an unexpected meteor struck the city and completely covered the area in light on impact, and then sudden darkness. I woke up alone, in what I assumed was the same town, though it was torn to shreds, and shards of the land were scattered throughout the darkness. I completely forgot that I had Pokemon, or maybe they were never really there, but I knew that I was in danger and I was being exposed, and I had to find shelter. I made it to what looked like an apartment complex that still had power, and ducked inside for safety. There was seemingly no one around, but the impact tore the safety gates right off their foundation, which let me climb up the stairs to where the residents lived. That's where I saw a friend of mine, Shadow, talking with a man in front of one of the doors. This man was the literal definition of a neckbeard. Large, ungroomed, and even before making it near them, I could smell an unpleasant odor that mimicked his expression. I was relieved to have found someone I knew and quickly made my introductions. The other man never gave me his name, but after a few words, he shuffled us both inside his own apartment. It seemed to be a standard-size American apartment, 2 bedrooms, a large living room, a kitchen attached to the living room, and between the 2 bedrooms was a small bathroom, which was at the moment being used. As soon as the door closed, I noticed a small group of survivors that were huddled inside, and I was told I could go grab something to eat from the kitchen, which had a woman handing out rations. She had just placed some cheap ramen in water that had obviously been used to cook mini packs before, and while I waited, I decided we should strike up a conversation. There didn't seem to be a shortage of food, water, or electricity, but the room was dark and everything was being conserved delicately, just in case. I understood the logic, but I also knew that first responders were probably already in the city, so we didn't have to worry that much. She agreed, but told me that we had to listen to the owner of the apartment or risk being kicked out, and gave me a small portion of the ramen that she just cooked with a spoonful of broth, which turned out to be a saving grace since apparently she had been mixing all the flavor packs and it was disgusting. The owner of the apartment then gathered everyone's attention and told us we were free to stay as long as we helped pay for food and water, or was willing to get some if we ran out. There were obvious murmurs of agreement, and apparently I was able to work remotely from home, so I knew I had funds to help support those who couldn't. Once everyone was in agreement and we all picked places to sleep, the TV suddenly turned on. It was like the room went black, and all you could see was the light of the television as it staticked itself to life. There, a news reporter stood in front of what we assumed was our broken city, but quickly learned that it was another part of the world. This meteor hadn't just hit our town, but instead multiple ones struck the entire world, shattering it to pieces. The chunks that were left wouldn't have much longer before they too broke apart, and the only hope we had was to just survive as long as possible with our loved ones. The TV turned off just as quickly as it was on, and panic set throughout the apartment. People were screaming, crying, begging, but it all sounded distant, like I was hearing it through a wall. I couldn't see. I couldn't breathe. A gripping panic overtook me as I thought about my loved ones, my friends all over the world that I held dearly. Had they died? Are they in the process of dying? Are they in pain? For what felt like forever, I thought about each and every friend that was close to my heart, and what could have happened to them. I questioned what was going to happen when I die. Would I see them again? Or was our last conversation our last conversation? Honestly, I'm tearing up as I talk about this because it really messed me up. That bone-chilling terror to think that the people that I loved, I'd never hear from again. I don't know why, but I started to berate myself for not stopping the end of the world, as if I could do anything about it. I felt like tearing my skin off, pulling my hair out, slamming my face across the wall, picking off my nails, anything, to get these thoughts of never seeing them again out of my head. But I knew I couldn't. What if they were dead, but watching me? I couldn't let them know how much it got to me. I had to stay calm to keep them calm. So, for a chunk of my dream, I sat there in the apartment, silently watching, but not really seeing anything, as the what-ifs cycled through my head. Somehow I eventually break out of it when I hear the voice of another dear friend of mine. I had no idea he was there, but as soon as I heard him, I went in for a hug and just started sobbing. He was injured, but at least for now I had two dear friends that I know were alive and well, and I clung to that thought for as long as I could. We slept, though in the middle of the night, woke up to screaming outside the apartment. For some reason, I decided to check it out, though the neck-bearded man stopped me and slammed the door shut, locking it and blocking it. There were loud bangs outside the door, people crying for help and to let them in, and I recognized that one of those voices was the woman who made the ramen earlier that day. The screaming continued, followed by this scurrying sound, like hundreds of little feet scampering outside. Another scream, louder and in obvious pain, before the silence took over once again. Everyone was quiet, minus the scurrying and the scratching outside our door, and no one went back to sleep afterwards. I returned to my area, horrified and confused, spending the rest of the night in a daze as the scratching continued throughout the rest of the night. Next morning, as soon as the sun broke through the night sky, the scratching stopped, and we finally gathered up the courage to look outside the door. There was nothing there, and to me, that was a lot scarier than seeing a dead body or whatever I thought would be in place of all that screaming. The entire hallway, which was dirty when I first showed up, seemed even cleaner than before, like something swept up all the dirt and dust from the meteor's impact. We close the door again, and the owner gathers everyone who's left. He tells us that somehow after the impact, rats the size of small dogs have been terrorizing survivors, and they have a thirst for human flesh. They only come out at night though, so as long as we pay a daily rent, he won't have to throw us out before the sun goes down to gather supplies. I asked what he meant by rent, since he said before that we only had to pay or gather supplies, but he clarifies that since it's now a situation where it's survival of the fittest, he wants to be the richest man alive and will extort anyone who stays with him. I knew I had the money to pay for myself, and my two friends had good jobs that could probably keep them safe for a while too. But I couldn't stay knowing that this man didn't care about the people who's staying with him. So, we left, and started our journey to look for others in a safer location. I don't remember at all what happened during this time, minus once again getting to see the outside world and what state it was in. But we eventually find another group of survivors that were much nicer and living in a hotel room. And we decided to work together to gather resources. It was then I find out that the previous man we were staying with had been sending people out at night to break into other survivor homes and let the rats infest their safe house, so that the next day he could go in and gather all the food and water left behind without having to commit murder himself. It made us sick, and we agreed to work on night watch. The rules were simple. We couldn't sleep at night, though we had our own choice pickings of what we could eat and drink right before our shift was over. We also, under no circumstances, were allowed to open the doors or windows once night hit, as they will wait for any opening. I honestly don't know what happened next, but after that first watch, I woke up to find myself in the hallway of the hotel, hearing that familiar scratching starting to surround me, but not seeing anything immediately. Like a shadow, the rats started to rise from the vents, the doors, the windows, and came after me from the end of the hallway. It looked like a wave of darkness, their red eyes speckled throughout the inky black, and it crashed down suddenly, and what was a wave became hundreds of rats, all separated and using the floors, the walls, and even the ceiling to try and get to me first. I turned to look for our door, running as fast as I could the opposite way, though at the end of that hall I could see more appearing and just as hungry. Their sounds overtook my senses for the second time in this dream, and everything slowly started to fade to black. I felt myself being pulled down and slammed on the ground, and a blanket of fur instantly covering my body. I couldn't fully get myself to move, wanting and trying to move my arms and legs, positive that I was done for, yet no pain ever came. It took a few minutes to get my bearings back, and realizing the fur I felt was actually just some fuzzy blanket. My friends had heard me apparently screaming, and quickly opened the door to pull me inside before I was overtaken by the rodents. I can't really explain how I felt in that moment, because I was relieved, yet just overwhelmed beyond belief. I hated everything I felt. I was growing angry at all the emotions that battled with each other constantly this entire time, and I wanted it to end. I kept screaming in my head over and over, I wanted it to end, I wanted it to end, I wanted it to end! And then I finally woke up. As of late, all of my nightmares have been apocalyptic related, and I have no idea what it means or why I'm getting them. I have a book that takes dreams and gives you the meanings, but that also means getting real personal with my inner thoughts, and I'm a little too busy for that right now. I just hope they stop sooner than later, because I really hate apocalyptic-based stories, since you could probably guess the reason. A lot of my loved ones would probably die or be in constant suffering, and that's one of the worst feelings to me. If I think that even one friend is suffering, it gets to me emotionally. So to think that every single one of them, 100% of the people that I love and cherish, are hurting or dead, it's an overwhelming feeling that I can't process. With that, though, I hope you're all having a good week. Let me know if you've been having any dreams related to nightmares or otherwise. As per usual, make sure to drink your water, eat your broccoli, and have a good day. See you all in the next video.